All right, everyone, welcome to the final match of the Concordia Tri here tonight as Concordia University of Chicago is getting ready to take on Westminster. I'm Eric Perry, joined on commentary by the wonderful Jonathan Shear, and this is the end of our volleyball night here today, Jonathan. And Concordia, they played earlier today around noon, lost to North Park 3-1. Westminster, meanwhile, just beat North Park 3-1. Jonathan, since Westminster's just coming off a four-set match that finished a little over half hour ago, think they're worried about any potential fatigue?
I mean, you always have to worry about fatigue. You have to factor that in for the Cougars. Sure, they had a longer break. They played earlier today well. I think if there's anything you're looking at for fatigue, it's more so just bruising. I mean, you look beaten and bruised. You look at Jake Shaw McAllister. That right knee of his took a beating against North Park. So there's a couple things to look out for there. I don't think it'll impact Westminster as much, though. This is a deep team. They have depth, and really, they looked very comfortable throughout that win. They didn't have to really overextend themselves to keep pace with North Park. So fatigue will play. It'll play a factor for both teams. I don't think it'll be the deciding factor, though.
And we got Jake Shaw McAllister having the first serve of the night. Ooh, and that's going to be an early point for Westminster's. The Concordia shot just doesn't hit the line. Westminster's taking an early 1-0 lead. Saw them do that a lot in the recent match against North Park. They always seem to be able to get on top early. Now, shot, ooh, and the shot by Jackson Stella gives the Cougars a tie.
And there it is, J.R. Stella, the boomstick of this Cougars offense, has a lot of power. He provided that power on last year's squad as a freshman. He's still been providing that power on this squad as a sophomore so far.
And the guy that just served, Marston Hoffman, him and J.R. Stella have been the two leading drivers of this Cougars offense this season. And it'll be an error that's going to give the Cougars their first lead of the game. They're going to take a 2-1 lead as Marston Hoffman goes back to serve again. And the shot by Derek Turner manages to get over the line, and the Westminster's managed to tie this game back up. We saw this a lot in the first two games, Jonathan. Westminster always seemed to be able to answer with whatever their opponents hit them with. And just like that, number 18, Leon Godzowski gives the Cougars another lead with a powerful shot that was just out of the reach of the Westminster players.
Yeah, when you look at these back and forth games today, you might look at Westminster beating North Park 3-1, and then North Park beat CUC 3-1. Oh, this is going to be an uneven matchup. Concordia Chicago did the same thing to North Park that North Park did to Westminster earlier today. They kept pace with North Park throughout most of that match. They won a set. So these have been very close games all day, and that's what Concordia Chicago is looking to continue tonight.
Yeah, that last shot, Concordia thought it had hit the line, thought it was out, but it had just hit the line, so Westminster ties this game up 3-3. Quick shot by Luke Rohrbach to get it over. Rohrbach right up at the net again. Oh, a little bit of miscommunication on the Cougars there as it goes back, and that gives Westminster the lead once again.
And it was actually a violation going over the net, reaching over on Westminster's part. Point Cougars, another error on Westminster. It's something we didn't see much from the Blue Jays earlier tonight against North Park. It's really what allowed them to win that game. So they want to stay a lot cleaner than the Cougars. It's been about an even level of uncleanliness so far.
And right as you say that, so speaking of uncleanliness, Jackson Stella's serve has a little bit too much heat on it, and this game is once again tied.
Another thing JR struggled with last year, it was controlling the power on those serves. And it's not surprised, you'll see that crop up a lot with players who rely on power.
Adam Rush serves, gets over, it's set up, and that ball goes straight past as Jackson Stella hammers it. Adam Rush doesn't have time to recover. Good looks from J.R. Stella so far. As always, going back, he has been most of the Cougars' offense, and he is living up to that tonight. Already got 2 of the team's kills. Serve from Tate Johnson gets over. Ooh, and the return to sender by Alexander Ford. Tate makes sure that the Westminster shot has nothing on it, and Concordia is now up by 2. Tate Johnson's getting ready to serve again.
What Ford brings this team is height. Last year, it was J.R. Sell at 6'5". That's your big man. You had Sean Beckman come in towards the end of the year with basketball done. Alexander Ford is a second very tall option. It's huge for CUC's front line.
And Westminster had a few rough hits. They weren't able to get it over. It was a 4-hit violation. And Concordia now, Tate Johnson serving again, this time with a 3-point Cougar lead. Serve by Tate Johnson gets over the net. That's going to be set up for Towel. The shot by Marcin Hoffman, the other half of the other driving force of the Concordia offense, just a little bit too strong as it goes out of bounds. Now we got Dalio Tail serving for Westminster. Good hit by Van Gato, sets it up, and just some miscommunication there. Coach for Concordia, Greg Manos, arguing that a little bit, but it doesn't look like the call's going his way, and it won't be again. The Dalio Towel serving.
And something that this team struggled with a lot last year, so it's not too surprising to see it crop up again, is communication issues. They struggled to stay clean on the communication front last year. They're struggling so far tonight.
Yeah, as that shot gets over. Hit by McAllister, goes over. Hit by Van, up, and Mano Hoffman gets it over. You mentioned the miscommunication. A lot of that can be contributed to that. This is a pretty young Concordia team, Jonathan, but then again, so is the Westminster team. There we go. Alexander Ford serving to give the Cougars a larger lead. And that one is going to be just out. Didn't manage to clip the line. Serving error by Concordia. Number 24, Luke Rohrbach, who played a big factor in the last game, Jonathan. He'll be serving now. Serve by Rohrbach gets over the net. Up. Hammered by Ford, and that goes directly off Adam Rosh. Concordia is going to grow their lead.
Again, you see that a lot from J.R. Sella. That's his thing. Get up there from the side and just power it coast to coast. Force it off of a player. Force it to the ground. Do something. Get the point. It's all power with Stella, and for most of the time, it works.
Most of the time it does. Unfortunately, right there, that was a service error by Concordia, which means that once again, Westminster is going to get possession back. Jake Shiloh McAllister played a pretty big part in the last win over North Park, is serving. That's going to go off. Ooh, barely tapped over by, ooh. And that was a perfect shot. Barely managed to clip the edge of the line, and Concordia gets their lead back up to 2.
I mean, what a sequence from Leon Kotsowski right there. Barely tipping over, a bit of a high set, and then having the awareness to get up and get the rebound and know there's no one on the back end of the court. Just send it over.
Ooh. That one was rejected at the line by Jackson Stella. It went right back in the face of Westminster. And now Concordia's got possession back. Marcin Hoffman getting ready to serve. That's the, ooh, it was blocked by number 12, Tate Johnson. Unfortunately, the strength of that shot carried it out of bounds. And the ball is back in the hands of Westminster as Aiden Ortman's getting ready to serve. And the serve by Ortman's over the net. Pass, ooh, hammered by Kotsowski. Sets up, ooh. Oh, and that that's just an unlucky bounce for Concordia. J.R. Stella, like you said earlier, he hammered it. Unfortunately for him, the block by Westminster hit the back corner of the Concordia line.
I mean, you got to wonder where. It wasn't just on the back corner. There were no Cougars on the back line on that fallback. So, again, bit of miscommunication. Players caught out of place.
And a beautiful tap by Marcin Hoffman gets possession right back to the Cougars. And like you said, Jonathan, Concordia's team's got to stay on the same page if they want to be able to go toe-to-toe with a very solid Westminster team.
And so far they are. 2-point lead at about the halfway point of this set.
Oh, and the shot by Khalil Peterson just rocketed out of bounds. That almost hit the area where they're currently selling food.
I can tell you what this argument from Jake Shaw McAllister is here. He's arguing, I think it was Marcin Hoffman who got up there, and that is a call. Marcin Hoffman got up there, reached over, got a hand on the ball. So that's going to be a violation on the Cougars. Waste of a good opportunity for CUC.
If Hoffman just pulls his fingers down a little bit, that shot's rocking out. Instead,
it wasn't a tip. It wasn't a tip. It was a reach-over violation.
Yeah. And it's errors like those that can really come back to bite you in the butt later in the game. As a beautiful shot by number 8, Alexander Ford. As Marcin Hoffman, as J.R. Stella goes back to serve for the Cougars. Serve by Stella gets over, and it's returned straight back over off the first hit. Alexander Ford hammers it. It's up. Fake out for Ford. J.R. Stella right off McAllister's hands. Oh, faked him out on that one. Unfortunately, they were able to recover in time, but it's going to be a Cougar point. Good sequence by the Cougars we saw right there, John. They were able to all stay on the same page and get the point.
That's the most interesting thing for me. The Cougars are forcing attacking errors from Westminster in this set. They're doing a much better job than North Park did against the Blue Jays, and it's really allowing the Cougars to hold that 2-3-point lead.
Yeah, and yes, you see them make errors. It gives you confidence. It's like, hey, we're the ones that are causing them to screw up. That shot by Alexander Ford, unfortunately, does not make it over the edge of the net, and that'll be a Westminster point. We got number 9, Adam Rosh, coming in to serve for Westminster. He'll be replacing Connor Lehman.
That service error stat, though, still 3 for the Cougars so far, none for Westminster. Across their night, Westminster still at 2 total service errors and probably about 4.5 sets played. That's remarkable consistency.
They've been a very good team when it comes to service errors, and Concordia is content to let that shot go out of bounds.
Home court advantage coming in for CUC, and that Geisman roof, Westminster struggling to play it off of the bounce off through. It's always fun. You've seen some crazy bounces off of the roof. Couple ones off of the basketball hoops up on the ceiling. This roof can cause some fun plays in this gym.
Especially considering we got a little bit of a low roof over on this side, and that shot by Tate, that serve by Tate Johnson will just be a little bit too strong, so that'll be a service error. And now Westminster's number 11, Dalio Tail, is serving. Serve by Tail gets over. That's going to be a hit. Hammered by Marcin Hoffman, and it bounces off the Westminster block directly out of bounds. So that'll be another Cougar point. And we saw this a bit in the first match they played against North Park earlier, Jonathan, but Concordia won the first set. It was in the other 3 afterwards that gave them a bit of trouble. Ooh, and the shot just manages to clip the very back line. Ryan Rhodes with a beautiful shot there to get possession back for Westminster.
Yeah, and that block from the Cougars, it looked like Gudzowski and Selle got up there a bit too spread, just kind of clipped off the insides of their arms and then went out of bounds.
Served by Rohrbach, gets over the net, and it's hammered by Leon Gudzowski off the tips of a Westminster player. And now Elijah Mosher is going to be serving for the Cougars.
That's a perfect set from Eli Mosher, but also the hang time from Gudzowski just kind of sat up in the air for a bit, was able to get a full wind-up.
Always a beautiful shot indeed. Oh. McAllister tries to make the save. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it to our stats desk before the ball did. And Mosher's going for his second service ace in a row here. Serve gets over. Hit by Ryan Rhodes, gets back over. Oh, and it's off the hands of Leon Gonzowski. He couldn't get the ball up in the air, and that is a Westminster point.
Hoffman's being really aggressive with trying to get those angled blocks right at the point attack, right over the net. And right there, it costs the Cougars. It costs the awkward angle as that ball came over.
Yeah, Jake McAllister's serve gets over, and the shot by who else? J.R. Stella finds the Westminster gap. Beautiful shot there.
And honestly, that might be the biggest change I've seen in this Cougars team from last year to this year. J.R. doesn't have to stick in the middle as much as he used to. They have more options they can put in the middle. Stella is at his best on the wings. That's where he's been most of tonight, and it's been working.
Yes, it has. They got a 19-15 lead here. Ball gets over, ricocheted off. Oh, and what a sequence of events. The ball bounces off Marcin Hoffman, ricochets off another Concordia player, and just hits the outline. Wonderful sequence of events there, Jonathan.
So Eli Mosher's going to pick up a kill.
Oh.
Not even sure he was looking at the other side of the court or even trying to direct that ball, but you take that any day of the week.
Just like Westminster will take that tipped ball that will give them the possession back. Concordia, the first team to get to 20. Now Westminster hoping that they can claw back. Aiden Nortman serving for Westminster. Serve gets over the net, but that's going to be wide, and Concordia gets the ball back on an uncharacteristic Westminster serving error.
First service error of the match. I mean, you have to go service. You got to give the credit to your head coach. You got to get Dalton Tucker. Clearly, it's been a point of emphasis with this squad, and he's done a great job of coaching that out of them.
As that shot by number 23, Connor Lehman, ricochets off a Concordia player. Now we got number 5, Keegan Nace, coming back in for Khalil Peterson. As Nace is out to serve. Serve gets over, set up. Ooh, the shot by J.R. Stella. Beautiful. Westminster couldn't do anything but send it back into the net.
Stella is on a heater tonight. 6th kill, only 1 error. He's hitting at a hit percentage over 450. Stella's biggest weakness in his career so far has been his consistency, and in this match so far, that hasn't been a problem. Okay.
Yeah. And with that, that'll be a serving error on Marcin Hoffman. But yeah,
that was actually J.R. Stella at the service line. And okay, I was talking about how he'd been incredibly consistent, and he's going to make me go back on my words. So Stella, still a great night so far. 4-point deficit now for Westminster.
Yeah, 6-2 error ratio, not the worst in the world. Deep save by Hoffman, and he gets it back over. Ooh. Rohrbach tried to fake him out in midair, but that shot's going to bounce off. Set up off McAllister, gets over. Off. Ooh, the shot by Tate. And that's going to be a wide shot by number 11, Delo Towel. And Concordia now just 2 points away from winning this first set.
Well, Westminster's playing sloppier than they were against North Park. That's where they've been struggling so far today. When you have an opportunity like that, with Hoffman having to hit that just lazily, not lazy, but it's an easy shot all the way over from past the end line, that's a great opportunity. You're on the advantage, and then an errant set just gives the advantage back to the Cougars. That's a wasted opportunity.
It was definitely a bit of a desperation shot for Concordia, and Westminster couldn't do anything with it. As Ryan Rhodes gets it over. Oh, but Elijah Mosher just says, I'm just going to hit it straight back at you for the Cougar point, and we are now at set point.
Was that the third hit? Is that why Rhodes hit it over? I mean, it seemed out of turn. I mean, and no one on Westminster was prepared for the return either.
I thought it was second hit, but I could be wrong. But nonetheless, Mosher just returned to sender. Serve is unfortunately going to be a little bit out as Tate Johnson's serve wasn't quite able to land. Now Dalio Towel trying to keep his team alive here in this first set.
Set point.
Serve gets over, and that's just going to soar, and Concordia takes the first set 25-19. John, that was an interesting first set. We saw a lot of uncharacteristic errors out of Westminster, and the Cougars were all too happy to make him pay for them.
I think the biggest difference you're seeing here is if the Blue Jays aren't winning that error margin battle, they're going to struggle to keep up with another team's offense. Cougars 16 kills. They're doubling up Westminster in that category. The Blue Jays rely on playing clean volleyball. If another team's playing as clean of them, if the Blue Jays are playing as messy as another team, they are going to struggle to keep up with that team because this Cougars offense is high-powered, and it's not to say that Westminster's can't be, but it's not how they win games usually, and that's where they're running into in that first set.
Yeah, they are at their best when they're forcing other teams' errors, and when they can't, that is where they run into some difficulties. Well, as the two teams trade sides, I think we'll use this moment to step aside. We'll be back shortly with some more Cougar volleyball. Welcome back to some Concordia volleyball. Concordia won the first set 25-19, and now they are preparing for the second set as Elijah Mosher gets ready to take the opening serve. Concordia hoping to continue the good vibes and momentum they had in the first one and win back-to-back sets in pursuit of their first win of the season. And the serve by Mosher gets over the net, hit by Rhodes. McAllister hammered. Gato manages to get a hand on it. Mosher hits it back up. J.R. Stella gets it over the net. Makes Westminster run for it. Good hit. Mosher hits it back up. And 17, J.R. Stella, we've said his name a lot, ricochets it off a Westminster player, and just like the first set, Concordia's got a 1-0 lead.
Make it 7. Stella has been on a heater to start this game. He was great in the early game against North Park. He's been great so far tonight.
Served by Mosher, he makes it over, and J.R. Stella again just hammers it back at Westminster. He is having a career night so far tonight. Mosher serving for the third straight time. This one's going to get over. Hit by McAllister. 13 bounces off the Concordia front net. And that hammer number. That was a beautiful shot by Marcian Hoffman. Just like J.R. Stella hit, he sent it back over. And Concordia's got a 3-0 lead.
This is such a change of pace for watching Cougar volleyball. Last year, it was the front line that struggled for CUC. And tonight, that front line has been locked. in. They have been great at blocking. They've been great at hitting. And the most impressive part about it is that front line for that first stretch is all returning players. They're guys we had last year who have just cleaned up their front line play.
Yeah, you can tell that in the offseason they made sure to get better. Shot's going to be over, hit up. Mosher sets it up. And Stella goes back up. Stella once again can't pull it over the net. That's going to be the second consecutive Westminster point. Jack McAllister with the serve. Doesn't get it over the net. The service area. Concordia gets the ball right on back.
Got to win that error margin battle, and right now Westminster is not winning that error margin.
No, serve by Marcin Hoffman gets over the net. Hammered back. Gato managed to get it up. Bit of communication between Mosher and Gonzalski there, and that results in a Westminster point.
Honestly, I think the miscommunication on that play is from Van Gaten. You see he's calling it on him. You had Hoffman going around back to get that ball, dig it out, and I think that's what both Gonzalski and Mosher were looking out for. Gato had to jump up and reach to keep that one in front of him.
And that hit right over by number 24, Luke Rohrbach, has knotted this second setup early at 4. Concordia taking a sec to regroup. They had a 3-0 lead. Westminster's gone on a 4-1 run since then. They got to figure out how to get back on track. Serve gets over, returned by Gato. Set up by Mosher, hammered by J.R. Stella. Unfortunately, doesn't make it over the net.
And now you're running into those errors from Stella, a couple back-to-back. That's his weakness. He gets on these stretches, fires it a bit low. The power is great, but you got to get it over the net.
Yes, you do. Saved by Mosher. Hammered. Let's get back to Westminster. It's an over. Tries to dink it past. Recovered. Hoffman with the hit. Gets it over. And the hit by Gato. Takes a bit of a bounce off the Concordia ceiling. And Tate Johnson isn't able to save it. That gives the Westminster a 2-point lead. As Concordia coach Greg Manos is going to call his first timeout of the night. Jonathan, Concordia started off hot, but since then it's been a 6-1 Westminster run. What does Concordia need to do to get back on track and get back in the lead?
I think they need to clean it up a little, but you always love to stay clean. I think that's why they were playing so well. They were passing well, they're communicating well. Now you're on a little bit of a rut. You're not getting the plays you want to get. It's a little sloppy out there. Westminster's also cleaned up their offense a bit, so full credit to the Blue Jays. That's what's working out in Westminster's favor right now. Let's put them on a 4-0 scoring run, giving them a 2-point lead. I don't think it's that much of a problem for CUC because they're still only down 2. And it's flaws that, maybe a ball takes a bounce another way. It's going to work out in your favor, so it's not panic time for CUC. I like this timeout call from Coach Manos. Get out ahead of it early. Don't let your team fall into a rut because that is a problem that the Cougars had last year, was falling into early ruts in matches. So great timeout call from Coach Manos. Now the Cougars need to do something with it.
Yeah, last year when Concordia would start to get down, it almost felt like they just wouldn't recover, and so this timeout called by Manos is just saying, all right, we're fine. It's only 4-6 early. We're still very much in this. Just focus, calm down a little bit, and get ready for what's coming after this timeout break. Which is a serve by Aiden Ortman, returned by, hit by Mosher, gets up. J.R. Stella managed to get it off the fingertips. It looks like whatever Manos said in that timeout worked. Concordia gets the point.
And there you go for Stella. You adapt a little bit. If you're starting to hit it a bit too low, switch course. Hit it high. Westminster, they're keyed in on just getting up there and blocking Stella because he likes to hit so close to net. You're going to get those deflections then.
Leon Gonzalski's serve gets over. That's powered, blocked at the net by Ford and JR. And unfortunately, the hit by Tate Johnson is just going to go out of bounds off the block. That'll be Westminster point. Serve coming up from Luke Rohrbach. Gets over the net, returned by Hoffman. Set up by... Ooh, and that's going to be wide. The shot by Rohrbach doesn't have is just a little bit too strong, and Concordia once again makes this a 1-point game.
And we had an attempt from Alexander Ford right there. He's a name who has been quiet tonight. No kills, 2 errors on 4 attempts. He's been a key part of this Cougars offense in the early parts of this season. He hasn't really gotten going at all tonight.
And just as you say his name, ball deflects off him and hits the ground for Westminster point. And yeah, if he can get going tonight, Concordia's doing a very good job at keeping this game close. If he can get going, then allow another player on a run, and maybe that'll allow them to reclaim this lead and maybe even pull away a little bit from Westminster. Serve gets over, hit by Hoffman, up by Mosher. J.R. Stella hits it over the net. Ford sets it up, set by Mosher. Tate Johnson, beautiful shot. That hits the outstretched arms of Aiden Ortman, and that's a Concordia point.
So just something to note on Concordia. Last year, the Cougars struggled with depth. Small roster, hard to keep up. We're right back there with the Cougars. It's a small roster. Right now, that's the same rotation of 7 guys who have been in this set. Bit of a small roster. Cougars also dealing with a lot of injuries right now.
Yeah, injuries have just torn up this Cougars team as Ford almost got the shot right over the net. That's going to be powered. Unfortunately, goes off Elijah Mosher, who isn't able to come up with it. And the Westminster lead is once again back up to 2. And injuries are one of those things that you just can't really prepare for. So you just got to have a next man up mentality in order to keep the team cohesive and moving in a successful direction. Serve is hit by Gato, set up by Mosher, hit by Hoffman. It's over. Set by Mosher. J.R. Stella can't get past the Westminster defense hit. Oh, and then Derek Turner hit, goes into the net. We saw a lot of him in the last match against North Park. Unfortunately, his shot right there went directly into the net. Alexander Ford serving, hoping to tie this game up at 9. Goes off the top of the net. Hits Westminster. Turner hits it. Hit right back to sender by Marston Hoffman. Unfortunately, it's out as
clips off the pin on the far
clips
side.
Off the pin as Westminster goes back up by 2 again. Lucas Brown with the serve. Very efficient player in the first 2 matches. Hit by Hoffman. Set up by Mosher. Powered by number 18, Leon Gudzofsky. Just hit a rocket shot right back at the Westminster team.
And there's a ex-Fontbonne player for an ex-Fontbonne player switch. Back into the game as Ryan Rose. Out of the game goes Lucas Brown. That's a rotational error on Westminster. First time we've seen that out of the Blue Jays tonight. Didn't get their players rotated like they need to. Probably got some confusion caught up in the sub. Brown going out for Rhodes with the libero. Either way, free point for the Cougars. We're back even at 10.
And Corey's not going to complain about that one. They'll take a free point as Elijah Mosher tries to serve again. This time gets over. No immediate whistles called, but a bad hit by Ryan Rhodes. That hit it outward. McAllister wasn't able to recover, and Concordia has their first lead in a while. Right, Mosher in with the serve. Gets it over the net to Rose, to McAllister. Ooh, the shot by number 13, Aiden Ortman, just past the outstretched arms of Concordia, and this game is once again tied up.
Honestly, it's been a while since we've seen Westminster able to set up a shot like that. Just perfect placement on the set, and Ortman, who really hasn't gotten much going tonight, gets one there.
Hit by Moshe, over the shot, hit by Gato, up by Moshe. And the beautiful shot by J.R. Stella just clips the back line. What a beautiful shot by Stella.
Again, on a heater, just power it through to the back line. Make it 9 on the night. Stella, a bit of a rough patch he's back on.
Sometimes you just got to clear your head and get past those, and that's all you need to recover. As another return to sender blocked by Tate Johnson for a Cougar point, and their lead is up to 2 now. Hoffman taking the serve, hoping to make it 3 points in a row for Concordia. Gets over to Rhodes, hit up by McAllister. Oh, and the block at the line. That manages to increase this lead. As you said earlier, Jonathan, last year Concordia kind of struggled with their front net, but they're not looking like it tonight as Westminster takes their first timeout.
Gudzovsky, that's his 4th block of the night. He led this team in blocks last year. He was one of the best players in the NAC when it came to blocks. And I think and it just looks like he's gotten better this year. I think that's what's most remarkable about this squad is, yeah, they've brought in some new players. And that's definitely helpful. Tate Johnson's been great so far tonight. But every returning player has also been better. Marcin Hoffman, one of those, honestly, arguably the star of the team alongside J.R. Stella last year. He's been good tonight, but he doesn't have to do all the work anymore. J.R. Stella has just improved. He's more consistent now. Gudzovsky, he's been much better at the line, much stronger, much more consistent. Those power shots, which he would try and get last year, but he really struggled to get consistently. He's been getting that power a lot more consistency. Eli Mosher, much more consistent on the sets. The communication, a bit rough in the early goings of tonight. It's been a lot better in the past set. This team looks more cohesive in their first home game home trip. It's a try. I already played earlier, but still, this team looks more cohesive than we've seen them in a while, and it's a lot of returning players. You didn't mention Van Gato last year in and out of that libero position. He's been remarkable there tonight as well.
Yeah, when you have several players playing really good, you don't need one to play great. That's going to be hit up. Tries to get it over. Mosher hits it up. J.R. Stella covered by Gato. Mosher once again sets it up. Johnson with the shot. Hits off the pin. That's going to be a Westminster point. Looked good at points, but ultimately just couldn't avoid it bouncing it off the pin. Norton with the serve. Gets it over. Hit by. And Johnson powers it directly at Ryan Rhodes. Van Gato takes it. Mosher powered up. Over. And that is going to be, and that is a lucky break for Concordia. Marcin Hoffman dove for it, pulled up at the last second when he realized it had a chance of going out. And luckily for him, it did. Concordia's back up to a 3-point lead.
Yeah, I'm honestly just laughing up at that one as he comes off. And he was right there. He saw that ball land just off the side.
Fortunately, the Cougars, Gonzalski's serve goes straight into the net. So it's a point swap as Westminster gets the ball back. Luke Robach coming in to serve. And we haven't said his name a whole lot this match. He was lights out in the North Park match, but we haven't been saying him a lot as he's kind of disappeared. And the bad error by Hoffman can't pull it in. And that makes this a 1-point lead. Westminster clawing back a little bit.
I think another part of it is just with how well this Concordia front line's played. It's kind of nullified that advantage that Westminster had with Luke Rohrbach last match.
Very good point as Johnson hits it over. Hit up by Ford. Mosher hurts it. Johnson hits it over. And that goes blocked right back over the net by Connor Lehman. Fortunately for the Cougars, it does clip the line, and we are tied here at 15.
Another thing with Luke Rohrbach, he was at last match at 6'6". He was the tallest player on the court by a solid margin, honestly. Now you have Alexander Ford out there. He's also at 6'6". J.R. Stella at 6'5". You got some height on Concordia's end that kind of nullifies that height advantage a little bit. Westminster has other options. They have Lucas Brown, also tall. Actually come up with a big block there, but they need to find ways to get that front line play back on point.
Oh, and that's going to be too strong a serve, and it's going to be back-to-back Concordia points on Westminster errors as J.R. Stella coming in to serve again. Got 9 kills, looking for number 10 here. Goes over to Rhodes, hit up by McAllister. Oh, Lucas Brown jumped for it, but just swing and a miss, whiffed on it. And Concordia's all too happy to take that one.
Yeah, it looks like Brown, he's kicking himself for that one. He jumped early. He mistimed the jump on the set from Shore McAllister.
Blocked by Ford, sends it back. Another block by Ford. Oh, but miscommunication by Ford, and Mosher allows the ball to just land in the middle of a group of Concordia players.
And I think they're trying to figure out if that was Stella who was supposed to go for that, if it was Mosher. It was a ring of Cougars.
Yeah, I would say it was a perfect circle of Cougars. Really hard to tell who messed up on that one. Serve gets over, hit up by Hoffman. Mosher, oh, fake out, good recovery. Doesn't matter. Concordia ends up getting the point. The shot goes wide. Good little bit of trickery there by Mosher. He's known for setting him up. Instead, he just backhanded it over the net almost. And Westminster was not prepared. Tate Johnson with the serve, gets over the net, off Rose, off McAllister. Ooh, just tapped over by Lucas Brown. Just misses the outstretched arms of Van Gato, and it's back to a 2-point
Oh, that's a
game.
pretty play to watch. That anytime you see a run-up like that, almost any time, that's going to be a power swing with that kind of a swing, that kind of torque coming around. And just switching that to a perfectly placed floater is so hard to do.
Oh, what a shot by Alexander Ford. The force of that one sends Adam Rosh to the ground. Looks like it hit Rosh in a little bit of a rough place. And Concordia, first team to get to 20, 5 points away from taking a 2-0 lead.
I don't know where the blockers were on that. Ford finally gets his first kill of the night, breaks that streak.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that set from Mosher, too, you need a perfect set if you're going to get the perfect hit on a run-up like that. It was a perfect set from Mosher, who's been so good at that position tonight.
Yeah, and that serve by Concordia does go wide. So, Westminster with the serve. And that Westminster serve goes wide, so both teams trade some service errors, and it's back to Concordia with Elijah Mosher serving 4 points from a set victory. Serve by Mosher gets over the net to Rose. McAllister to 24. Ooh, right off the hands of Mosher. Great shot by Luke Rohrbach. Mosher didn't really have a chance on that one.
That one was schemed up to get Rohrbach involved. That was the play from the get-go, exactly where the Blue Jays wanted that serve to go.
Now Blue Jays with the possession of the serve, up by Hoffman, set by Mosher. Oh, but the shot by Marston Hoffman, little too strong. And just like that, this is a 1-point Concordia lead now as Concordia coach Greg Manos calls timeout. With that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back shortly with more Concordia Volleyball. Welcome back to Cougars Volleyball, everyone. Concordia was going on a bit of a run, seeking to win their second set, but Westminster scored back-to-back points, forced a Concordia timeout, and now they're looking here with the serve by Jake McAllister to tie the game up. Set up by Mosher, powered by JR, gets it over to Rhodes, hit up, set by Gato, JR hits it again, oh! Van hit that one. Looks like it might have been going out. Back over by Stella. Hit up by Van. Set by Mosher. hit by number 10, Marcin Hoffman. Beautiful shot. Beautiful shot. And you know, it's funny, Jonathan, we haven't said his name as much tonight as we have said in the past, but the rest of the Concordia team's been able to pick up a bit of the slack he's left behind.
Yeah, Hoffman really just hasn't been asked to do that much tonight, which is a great sign for this squad.
This serve gets over. Oh, and that's a ricochet by J.R. Stella. And now the Cougars 2 points away from victory. And whatever Greg Manos told them in that timeout, it is working.
And that's just perfectly played off of the block. Lehman went up early. Stella saw that, so instead of going into the block, you just hit to the side. When you're on the edges, it's very easy for those blocks to just go out of bounds. Welcome the contact.
Oh, J.R. Stella returned to sender. And now the Cougars are at set point, looking to take a 2-0 set lead. Beautiful block by Stella. Hoffman with the serve. Can't get it over the net. Not what you want when you're at set point. Once again, set point, but now Westminster, number 13, Aiden Ortman, is serving the ball. Serve by Ortman, gets up. Hit by Gato. Bunked by Mosher. Johnson hit by Westminster. McAllister takes it. Oh, and what a Concordia shot. Number 18, Leon Kozovsky sends it back, and Concordia takes a 2-0 set lead over Westminster. Westminster made a bit of a run heading into what was the Concordia timeout, but Concordia said, we're taking care of business, and that they did.
That's Leon Kozovsky. Another block, already at 7 in the match, which is simply an absurd total. Those last 2 Cougar points were Leon Kozovsky blocks. He has been on point. The entire front line's been on point, especially him and J.R. Stella, though. Both of them above 5 blocks. As a team, you're lucky to have one player hit 5 blocks on a match as a total. The Cougars already have 2 through only 2 sets. This team's front line has really been the driving force behind what's been a strong performance tonight.
Yeah, Stella and Kozovsky have been holding the line. Kozovsky's on pace for about 10 blocks if he keeps it up going into the third set here. All right. Concordia hoping that in set number 3 they can get the job done to pick up their first win of the season. As the two teams have traded sides, we are going to take a quick short break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Concordia leading 2 sets to none. Welcome back to some Concordia basketball. Concordia leading 2 sets to none over Westminster, looking to finish the job here in set number 3. And Jonathan, this has just been a very on-fire Concordia offense. Last year, as you mentioned earlier, they struggled a bit with going into periods where they didn't score. That has not been the case so far tonight.
Absolutely. The offense has been on fire for the Cougars. I mean, J.R. Stella, 2 sets, 10 kills. That is a great total, a great run to start out a game. It's been even spread below that. Hoffman's at 4, Gazovsky's at 4, Mosher's at 3, Setter's at 3. That's a sat in and of itself.
And that hit by Tate Johnson, unfortunately, goes into the net. So Westminster will take a 1-0 lead.
Johnston had just had to reach awkwardly for that one. Was able to get a good angle on it.
That was just a bit of a weird placement there. J.R. Stella, heat seeker into the back corner. 1-1, we are tied.
Make it 11. It's what he does. It's what he did last year, the coast-to-coast, those corner shots. What's been remarkable tonight, I've said it before, it's his consistency tonight has been really putting him over the top.
Yeah, he struggled with errors last year. Not the case tonight. J.R. Stella with the block. Return to sender. Concordia once again. Marcin Hoffman with the serve. Yeah, you said it. Stella only 3 errors on the night. He has managed to get his control under him. Hoffman serve gets over the net to Rose, up to McAllister. Oh! Does manage to ricochet off, I believe, Tate Johnson there. Westminster gets the shot to tie this game back up at 2.
It's either a tip or it looked like it might have been a court violation, might have gotten under the net. So either it's error on the Cougar. And that's a point, though, errors, the Cougars have them.
Yes, definitely.
Westminster has just as much, which is a problem for Westminster because they rely more on cleanliness than a strong, overpowering offense.
As you see, a service error right there by Aiden Ortman, and cleanliness is not something that has gone Westminster's way in this match tonight. Leon Gonsovsky getting ready to take the serve, hoping to increase the Cougar lead. Unfortunately, he does not, and the 2 teams will trade service errors.
So, you see Alexander Ford walking off the court a little awkwardly. That serve off the net right to a spot where Alexander Ford would rather it not be, and he's still wincing a little bit. Can't really see that one coming.
Yep. Ooh, the tap by J.R. Stella. Beautiful, just over the fingers of Khalil Peterson. Beautiful placement there by Jackson, and that's going to be his, I believe, 12th kill of the night.
And he's just smirking at that one. I mean, he's on a tear tonight. Everything is falling.
Get back up. Gato's going to get under that one. Stella hits it over. That does not hit the line. Thought it did from this angle, but looks like the line judge does not agree. I thought that got a good chunk of the line.
I mean, it either got the line or there's an argument that it got tipped, too.
Yeah.
You don't see a team universally react to a call like that often.
Yeah, Concordia feels very justified that there was no doubt about it. That should be their point. They should be about to take a 5-3 lead here. And the ref and the line judge will reverse his call. It's Concordia point. Concordia believed they were right, and they were. So now they take a 5-3 lead. First team to get 5 tonight, and they're 25% of the way there for this. 20% of the way there for this set.
So now it's Westminster's turn to have a discussion with the officials. Jake Shaw McAllister doing that captain to official relay. And obviously head coach Dalton Tucker not going to be happy about a reversal like that. I mean, it's really interesting. You get a reversal like that from an official on the opposite side. It's D3. We don't have video reviews. So reviews like that, the team where it goes against is never going to like it.
No. Up. Ooh, recovered by get over. Ooh, and the motion just misses it. And it bounces just off the outstretched hands of J.R. Stella. And Westminster will get the ball back. Now down 5-4. Adam Rush with the serve, hoping to tie this game back up for Westminster. Shot gets over, hit by Johnson. Set by Mosher. Beautiful shot by Ford. Gets back over. Oh, keeping it alive. Oh, Alexander Ford reached, but he just couldn't get it over the net. Relay was a good attempt by Concordia, but didn't get it done.
What killed it, I don't know. I couldn't catch it. It was either Stella or Mosher. One of them tapped it up as it went from Hoffman to Ford, and it put it out of reach of Ford.
Served by Mosher. Johnson hits it up, recovered. McAllister hits it back up. Hit by Hoffman. Served by Mosher. J.R. Stella, rocket launcher. I caught it! Hey! Where's this one go? That is the only thing I have ever contributed to the game of volleyball. Now Concordia got a 6-5 lead.
Can catch a volleyball, can't catch a pencil, so Eric Perry putting a performance of a lifetime.
Pens are quite
in the
smaller
booth
than
right
volleyball,
now.
as that serve unfortunately goes into the net. So it's tied back up as Westminster is about to get the serve again.
I mean, it's another back and forth start to a set. If you're a fan of just decent back and forth volleyball games, it's been a pretty solid try.
Oh, it's been an excellent try if you're a fan of back and forth volleyball. Hit by beautiful shot by Hoffman, just out of the reach of Dalio Tail, and Concordia takes the lead right back.
Again, I think that's a change we're seeing in how Manos is setting up his players tonight. Hoffman's not being asked to do much on the front line. He's being allowed to sit more back, and it's actually working out very well for the Cougars because they have guys on the front line still.
Yes, they do. Hit up by Johnson, served. Hoffman gets it. Oh, miscommunication. McAllister can't really recover. It's a bit of an awkward touch off his fingertips. Concordia takes a 2-point lead. Alexander Ford once again serving for the Cougars. A little bit of a rocket shot there. Soars over the back line. Service error for Concordia, which means Westminster will now get the opportunity to serve.
There's a bit too much sauce on that one from Ford. I think I see a lot in Ford of what we saw from J.R. Stella last year, which is a lot of power, but still working on that consistency.
Yeah, that's something that she's got to kind of get better with over time. That block by Mosher is going to be out, unfortunately. This game is knotted back up at 8. Good try by Mosher, but just couldn't pull it in. Nace's service over, hit by J.R. Stella with a rocket shot that was controlled. Oh, and that just goes right off Marcin Hoffman, out of bounds. Westminster takes the lead.
Yeah, and Hoffman on that block, arms are too wide.
Yeah.
You have to close that down. Sometimes balls will get through, but if you close your hands down more than what those are, that percentage is going to go down.
But Westminster pays him right back for the service area, so we are once again tied at 9. Elijah Mosher serving. He has the only 3 aces for the Cougars tonight. Will not be. That will be number 4 for the Cougars. Wow. Hoffman has 4 aces on the night. Going for lucky, I guess, number 5 right here. Powered up. Oh, the shot by Ortman just didn't have enough power on it. He tried to tap it over, tapped too lightly, and hey, Mosher's gonna serve again.
I mean, you can put that one on Ortman. That one's on Shaw McAllister. I mean, you have to set it to your players. Ortman had to come way offline to even get there, and it was a low set to begin with. Cougars, they'll bail out the Blue Jays. They'll keep it close. A nice little service error. I mean, something to point out with service errors, though, almost made it 8. The Blue Jays are at 7. That's more than 3 times their total in a 4-set match.
Hoffman recovers, hits a nice shot to get the Concordia lead back up to 2. And yeah, Westminster was pretty error-free in the game against North Park, but they are making up for it tonight. Law of averages, I guess. Hoffman serve gets over. Hit by McAllister's fake out. Hit by Mosher, set up by Gato. The tap gets back. Brown gets it up. Gato gets it. Mosher with the set. Oh! Marcin Hoffman sends it down the line. What a shot by Hoffman.
Oh, that's such great play design. Hoffman's on the back row. He's played there a lot tonight. That was perfectly disguised as a Mosher set to the front row. They faked that the entire way. Mosher, and then Hoffman comes out from behind.
You couldn't draw it up any better, and you couldn't draw that Tate Johnson block up any better, as Concordia's got a 4-point lead now. Hoffman back with the serve. That gets over. Oh, the low shot hit back. And Concordia gets the first team to hit 15 as they take a 5-point lead on Westminster. Hoffman serve gets up. Oh, Gato can't quite reach it. That is going to be a Westminster point, breaking the mini Concordia run.
That's needed. That is needed from Aiden Ortman, because that was a rough run for Westminster. Errors, miscommunication on the back foot. I'll say one interesting thing about Dalton Tucker. That guy does not like to spend a timeout in 7 sets tonight. Yet to see a timeout called by Westminster.
Do you think he realizes that he doesn't get to turn them in for a coupon at the end of the game?
So I don't think he's going with the Matt Eberflus strategy here. I think he's going with more, don't want to break up your team's flow. That's very much a thing that some coaches go with, and for some teams it is the best option. For some teams it is the best option because that timeout can take them out of their funk sometimes.
First serve for Michael Cardines will hit the net. That'll be a service error on him, unfortunately, as Leon Kozovsky and Van Gato come back into the game. Westminster now serving, hoping to decrease this 4-point Cougar lead. Serve by Rohrbach gets over. Johnson gets it over. Set up by Mosher. J.R. Stella gets it over the net. Lucas Brown. Mosher. Gato sets it up. J.R. Stella. Ooh. Gato. Ooh, gets a very lucky bounce off the net. Mosher hits it up. Set by Gato. Tate Johnson. Hit by the Cougars. Kept alive even though went out. Oh, and miscommunication by Johnson and Ford there, as well as J.R. Stella, and the ball lands harmlessly in the middle as Westminster now cuts it to a 3-point game. Shot by over, hit up by Mosher. Alexander Ford with a shot deflected off 2 Westminster players. A little bit of a course correction for Ford there. There's a little bit of a error on the last hit, made up for it there.
That's what a player with that kind of composition tries to do. Just make it too hot to handle. You can get up there. 2 players from Westminster in play, getting hands on that, but just can't control it.
Served by J.R. Stella, gets over the net. Hit up by McAllister. Lucas Brown doesn't have enough juice on it. It hit the top of the net, rolled along, but landed back on the Westminster side, and Concordia is back up to a 5-point lead.
Westminster's just been sloppier than we've seen them in any set so far tonight, honestly, in this 3rd set.
And this is when you don't want it when you're down 2-0, but luckily for them, the J.R. Stella serve doesn't find the line, so Westminster will be serving with a 4-point deficit to make up for. Adam Rosh with the serve. Gets it up and over. Hit by Gato. Set up by Mosher. Tate Johnson hits it up. Ford to Tate Johnson. Ooh, nice save in the back line there. Ooh, and that shot by number 4, Derek Turner, just finds the line, and now it's a 3-point lead. Haven't said Derek Turner's name a whole lot recently, Jonathan. He was big in the Westminster's win against North Park, but he's been kind of quiet here in this one.
Yeah, he came on late, helped Westminster pull it out in the 4th set. They need him to help them pull this 3rd set out of the bag.
Set up by Mosher. Turner, oh, that's going to bounce off the hands of Peterson, and now Concordia just 6 points away from their first win of the year. Johnson in the back with the serve, hoping to get the Cougs to 20. Unfortunately, he does not. Has the opposite result of the service error, which gives Westminster a point.
I mean, the Cougars very much have the momentum. They very much have that feel like they're in control, and they are. Westminster is only 3 back, and we've seen the Blue Jays climb out of 3-hole deficits very easily, but not when they're playing like this. That's the difference. Like, in that North Park game, they weren't making mistakes. That allowed them to hang with it and naturally claw back into it. Westminster's making too many errors, so that when Concordia is making errors, it doesn't matter because the Blue Jays are just handing the ball right back.
And then in turn, Alexander Ford hands the ball right back to the Blue Jays. But like you said, Westminster wasn't perfect in the North Park game, but they were close enough. They were pretty close, and they got the job done. Now, Concordia is 5 points away from victory. Hit by Gato, set up by Mosher. Hoffman, ooh, a perfect block by Luke Rohrbach. And he makes this a 2-point Concordia lead.
Also needed, that front line has been a spot where Westminster has been dominated tonight.
That one barely gets over. Ooh, that gets over. Set up. That one's up. J.R. Stella's going to take this one. Hit back up by McAllister. Ortman back up. Oh! Lucky break for Concordia. Westminster had a wide open back corner, but the shot was wide. Concordia got bailed out on that one, Jonathan.
Can't burn those opportunities, and that's what Westminster has done tonight. They get great opportunities like that, and then it's just a miss it. And you lose that opportunity.
Mosher seeking his 5th serving ace. Will not find it with this one. Oh, but what a block by Hoffman at the net. Ricochet. Now Concordia 3 points away. Serve by Mosher gets over. Popped up. McAllister. Ortman return to sender by J.R. Stella. Oh, that's going to be, I believe, his 7th block of the night. Concordia now knocking on the door of a victory. Serve by Mosher gets over. Back up. Ortman hit it to the Gato. Saved back by Mosher. Powered by Hoffman. Hit up by Rhodes. McAllister. Tail running back for that one is Johnson. Gudsofsky gets it back over the net. Oh, and that's going to barely clip the line. Westminster manages to avoid going down to match point. It was close, though, but ultimately it did go. Ball fell Westminster's way.
You got one mistake now for Westminster. You got 1 point to give. You got to get 5 to force extras.
Or 6 to just get the win. Hit up. Hit by Mosher. Hoffman gets it over. McAllister to Rhodes to Ortman. That's out on Ortman. A bad mistake. That wasn't even close to being in. And now Concordia, they can feel it. They are at match point. 1 point away from their first win of the very young volleyball season. Served by Hoffman's up. Rhodes is down. Hit by Gato. Hit up. J.R. Stella. J.R. Stella calls game. Concordia is going to get their first men's volleyball victory of the season. 3 sets to none. Final set 25-19. And there will be no listening to Train tonight. Concordia pulls out the win, and they have officially broken into the win column. And really, Jonathan, pretty dominant performance by Concordia throughout the night.
I mean, I would say so. Westminster hung with the Cougs, especially in that second set. Westminster was leading for a solid stretch in that second set, but the Cougars, they seemed undaunted, which is a massive shift for a team that last season, to be honest, really struggled when they faced adversity. This team, they faced adversity a couple times, didn't let it bother them, and they, like you said, Eric, they dominated for the majority of this match.
Yeah. Looking at the scores, it might not totally show it, but Concordia was able to get the points out where it mattered. big time night by J.R. Stella. 17 kills combined against only 3 errors. He has improved his just turnout ability from last season to really take control tonight. And as unfortunately all good things must come to an end as the Concordia try comes to a close. Concordia finishes it off on a good note though. They finished with a 3-0 win.
Before we close, highlight on those stats. We talked about the kills, blocks.
Ooh.
We talked about the front line for Concordia, dominant tonight, 12 blocks as a team. Jackson Stella, 7 blocks, would have been the most in a single game for the Cougars all of last season.
Yeah.
Incredible night there. You go to Leon Godzovsky, 11 blocks. 11 blocks. That would have been the single game high for any player in the NAC all of last season.
Wow.
We'll see how that plays out this season. A remarkable game on the front line for Godzovsky, who has really stepped up with that front line game in the early parts of this season.
Yeah. Godzovsky gets it done, and we are shortly going to be heading to the post game, which we will be right back with that.
All right, that's
Coach, how's it feel to break into the win column?
Feels really good. These guys have been working really hard, and we've shown steady improvement throughout the season. So it's nice to see, despite our age, right, despite our experience, just them pull through and really own it for a full 3-0 sweep.
Yeah, J.R. Selb, a big player, 17 kills to go along with 7 blocks. He really managed to get the job done tonight, just hitting them in places where Westminster couldn't even reach, it felt like.
So his ability to really adjust and be a full 6 rotation threat has really developed. So whether it's from the service line or the back row, we knew he was a front row steady guy, but to see him scoring all 6 rotations, it makes him a nightmare matchup. So we're happy to see that he really excelled today in this kind of situation.
And speaking of the front row, Leon Godzovsky with a dominant performance tonight, 11 blocks. Front row is something that last year was a little bit of a question mark, but it seems like you've cleared it up this season.
Our sophomores today, especially in this match, really shine. So Leon's a guy who was very physical at the net, right? In terms of his development, it's come such a far way, and we wanted to line up our bigs with their bigs, and we were happy to see that we won that matchup. So big kudos to them, and good job working the matchup, especially against a lengthy team there.
Yeah, and you have a bit of a slow start to the season, but with this win, how do you plan to keep the momentum going into your next matches?
You know, we played really good competition, and I think it's brought out the best of us. So even though the win-loss record isn't ideal at the moment, we've been getting better in multiple ways every match. So we're really excited about our progress. And again, if you take into account all the moving pieces of where we're at, I have no doubt that we'll keep moving in the right direction.
Yeah, like you said, if you look at just purely like the win-loss record, you might be deceived, but how does it feel knowing that this team's got a lot of youth to it, knowing that not even this season, but coming into the future, you might have a team that you can build around and go on some runs?
It's so exciting to see because our average age it's a lot of freshmen and sophomores. So there's some oopsies along the way, but knowing the development we've been able to see out of our younger guys and knowing the recruits who are coming in, it's a really exciting time to be here. So I'm over the moon right now to see the progress and where we're going to be short-term and long-term.
Well, congrats on the win, finally breaking into the win column. That's all for tonight. I believe Concordia wins it 3-0 over Westminster. This is once again Coach Olson, the winner. We'll see you guys next time. Roll Cougars.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Concordia University Chicago Cougars Athletics broadcast. We hope to see you on campus very soon. If you would like to learn more about what Concordia Chicago has to offer, go to cuchicago.edu.